Welcome back to Bedtime Myths and Mysteries. Tonight, we return to the age of tall ships and salt-stiffened sails, to a time when men trusted the wind, feared the horizon, and believed that the smallest creature aboard might see more than they ever could. This is the story of the ship's cat who refused to leave. In the 19th century, no vessel sailed without a cat. Officially, they were there for a practical reason. Rats destroyed cargo, gnawed ropes, spread disease. A good mouser could save a voyage. But sailors are rarely content with practical explanations alone. To them, a ship's cat was more than a working animal. It was a presence, a guardian, a quiet observer of things unseen. Cats were believed to sense storms before clouds gathered. Long before barometers were common on merchant vessels, crews watched their animals. If the cat grew restless, refused food, or hid in tight spaces below deck, seasoned sailors grew uneasy. Some swore that a cat staring fixedly at the sea meant rough weather within hours. And there are accounts, preserved in ship logs and private journals, that suggest something stranger still. On several voyages, captains recorded moments when their ship's cat refused to board at all. It did not wander, it did not run, it simply stopped at the dock's edge and would not cross the gangway. One such incident took place aboard a British merchant vessel in the mid-1800s. The ship had completed repairs in port and was preparing to depart for a transatlantic crossing. The crew loaded crates and secured lines. The captain performed his final inspection. All was in order, except the cat would not board. Witnesses described the animal crouched low on the wooden pier, claws dug deep into the timber. When a sailor approached to lift it, the cat twisted violently, hissing, striking at the air. It bolted from the gangway each time someone tried to carry it up. The crew laughed at first. Sailors were used to superstition, but commerce could not wait for a frightened animal. Time was money. Wind was favorable. The captain reportedly ordered the cat brought aboard by force. The animal was carried up, struggling and wild-eyed, and locked briefly below deck to prevent further disruption. The ship set sail that afternoon under clear skies. For 2 days, the crossing was uneventful. The sea lay calm and deceptively gentle. But on the third night, the wind shifted without warning. A violent gale descended, far stronger than predicted by any instrument or experience. Waves broke over the bow. Masts groaned, cargo shifted below deck. By dawn, the vessel had vanished from navigational records. Debris later washed ashore along distant coastlines. No survivors were officially recorded. Among the fragments recovered, some claimed to have found the ship's bell. Others whispered that the cat's body was never discovered. Was it coincidence? Skeptics point to natural explanations. Animals can detect subtle changes in air pressure before storms. Cats possess heightened senses, acute hearing, sensitive whiskers, sharp awareness of vibration. Perhaps the animal sensed the drop in barometric pressure hours before instruments confirmed it. But that explanation does not fully satisfy those who study maritime folklore, because the story did not stand alone. Other captains wrote of similar incidents. A cat refusing to leave harbor on a vessel that later ran aground on unseen shoals. Another leaping overboard moments before a fire broke out below deck. In rare accounts, entire crews refused to sail if their cat abandoned ship the night before departure. In an era when the sea was both highway and graveyard, sailors learned to observe patterns. Ships are living things in their own way. They creak, they groan, they settle into the water. Men grow attuned to their rhythms, but animals may attune to something deeper still. Vibrations in hull and rope, shifts in current and tide, or something no chart can map. There is an older belief as well. Across seafaring cultures, cats were associated with protection and foresight. Norse sailors linked them to Freyja, goddess of fate. In Britain, black cats aboard ships were considered good luck, not because of color, but because of perceived connection to forces beyond sight. To anger a ship's cat was to invite misfortune. Even practical captains, men hardened by decades at sea, sometimes bent to that quiet rule. There are records of departures postponed for a single day, because the cat hid below deck and would not emerge. Sailors muttered about ill winds. Officers rolled their eyes but waited. And in some cases, storms did indeed arrive. One log entry from 1824 notes simply, "Cat restless, would not eat, departure delayed. Gale struck outer harbor by nightfall." Was the delay coincidence? Perhaps, but at sea, survival depends on paying attention to small signs. The ocean does not announce its fury in advance. It shifts slowly, invisibly. Pressure drops. Swells lengthen. The horizon changes color by degrees too subtle for an untrained eye. Cats, with their sharpened instincts, may have sensed what men could not. Yet sailors often framed it differently. They believed the sea itself warned through the animal. The idea is poetic, that something vast and unknowable communicates through the smallest companion aboard, that a creature who walks softly along the deck at dusk might serve as messenger between wood and water. After the loss of the British merchant vessel, the story spread quickly among ports. It entered tavern talk and dockside cautionary tales. And the lesson was simple. If the cat refuses to sail, you wait. Some captains dismissed such thinking, others did not. Even in the age of steam and steel, remnants of the superstition lingered. Naval officers in the early 20th century still kept cats aboard ships, officially for pest control, unofficially for comfort and continuity. Because whether one believes in omens or instinct, there is something unsettling about a creature that knows before you do. Something humbling. The sea remains unpredictable. Even now, forecasting has improved. Technology has advanced. Satellites track storms before they form. But in the 19th century, the difference between survival and disaster could rest on judgment and on attention to the smallest anomalies. Perhaps the cat on that dock sensed falling pressure. Perhaps it heard the distant growl of wind beyond the horizon. Or perhaps sailors were right in their own way, that the ocean whispers warnings to those willing to listen, and sometimes it chooses unexpected voices. The records do not prove the supernatural. They do not need to. They reveal only this: enough sailors believe the pattern to change their behavior. And once you have seen a calm sky turn violent without warning, once you have watched strong men swept from deck to dark water, you begin to respect even the quietest signs. The British merchant vessel that forced its cat aboard did not live to tell its own story, but the warning survived in memory. On docks, where ropes creaked and gulls circled, captains looked down at their companions before stepping onto the gangway. And if the cat stayed behind, they sometimes did too. Thank you for joining me tonight on Bedtime Myths and Mysteries. If stories of salt, shadow, and the thin line between instinct and omen linger with you, consider subscribing and returning for another tale. Until next time, sleep well, and remember, sometimes the smallest creature on the deck may be the only one who sees the storm coming.